repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys.
When the beat drops.
Time. Follow my step. Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah, let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
You better move when the beat drops.
Gentlemen, I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back. gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys? Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
Time. Follow my step. What do you say? Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
Bring the beat back. Bring it around now. Bring the beat back. Bring it around now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was very good. We're going to do the whole thing one more time. Follow my step. What do you say? Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
Let me see a better group when the beat drops.
Bring the beat back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was very good. We're gonna do the whole thing one more time. Follow my step. What do you say? Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Let me see a better group when the beat drops.
Bring the beat back. Bring it around now. All right, gentlemen. I want you to repeat after me just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
see you better move when the beat drops.
Time. Follow my steps. What do you say? Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
Bring the beat back. Bring it around now. All right, gentlemen. I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
All right, gentlemen. I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Ah, thank you, DJ Court. On Twitch.
Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies.
That one guy, or
Good golly.
you're watching me, well, sketch out something in VR. Oh, thanks, Broadway Kick. Alright, I need to listen to the music for a second. Okay. Okay. Meow, 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 meow. Day's alright, that one guy. And yes, well, you could see the wireframe of the animation DJ court. Takes a while, but you know, ain't that just the way? Okay. Let's give it a shot. Bow, 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 bow. I mean, obviously I went too crazy. Did you not animate? Okay. Ba 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 da bow 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 ba da 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 ba da bow 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 bow. Cool. I'm fine with the. I'm obviously going to need some refinement. How do I delete everything after that? I guess not. Tedious. Okay. I'll put on the music. Right now.
All right, gentlemen. I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly.
Thanks that one guy. Yeah, I hope to do more of these streams. They're slow. Not as exciting as games or anything, but I don't know. Keeps me honest.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys.
Okay.
Bring the beat back.
So I need to set up the main view so there actually is a darn walk there. Not to mention Betty Boop at some point. Bring you a little back. Something like that. Okay.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was very good. We're gonna do the whole thing one more time. Follow my step.
And that rock will just be... Alright. Well, there's actually multiple rocks, but we'll deal with that later.
Let's bring it on home.
Yeah.
Bring the beat back.
I don't know why I'm doing it that way.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
Da, 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 da.
Alright, gentlemen, I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
Alright, gentlemen, I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies.
Good golly.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring the beat back.
Thanks, that one guy. Yeah, the process is slow, but well, aside from the pumping music, perhaps soothing to watch. Soothing to do, honestly. Hmm.
Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly.
Nah.
Let's bring it on home. Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was very good. We're gonna do the whole thing one more time. Follow my step. What do you say? Very good. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Let's bring it on home.
Hmm.
Bring the beat back.
Let me see you better move when the beat drops.
All right, gentlemen. I want you to repeat after me, just how I do it. Ready? Your turn. Very good. Go ahead now. Good golly. Bring it around now. Ladies. Good golly. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Charlie Puth on keys. Bring one more time. Follow my steps.
Yeah. It is strange to shade it this way. In Quill, everything is just vertex colors. So I guess it's really just like a painting app. It just happens to be in 3D. And so I can't simulate light, in the traditional computer graphics way. I have to paint it in. And so yes, what I did was made a floor shadow of sorts to make the rock stand out against the ground, which right now is pretty much a flat color. Ooh, he's right on the edge of the cliff there. And yeah, this I'll probably go over and soften it up, kind of like what I did there. I was very tempted to make the actual scene in like an actual model, much like some of the original shorts that Fleischer did. 1 second. I can't. Sorry. It's a little hard to talk with that in my ear. Yeah, so in some of the original Popeye shorts, they actually had a really like a crafted stage, essentially a diorama, and they would do camera motions, and then in front of the camera they had the hand painted cells. And I was sorely tempted long ago to actually make a real background set and then 3D scan it and then put it in and then draw the cartoon parts over it. An idea that I will do later with other things, but not for this. So this one will be entirely painted, so to speak. But yeah, so, you need to make a sphere. Well, you can certainly do something like that, but the geometry of it is not very large, but you can, paint one side a little wider, paint another side a little darker, and then you have something that's, not really shaded, but that's how you paint. And you always have to be careful that things will fit in VR, because you start to lose available memory, draw calls, etc. Quite quickly. But yeah, this is kind of how it works. So again, just very much this application is called Quill. Quill VR. It was an Oculus app, and then Facebook bought Oculus, which is the VR headset I have on right here. Guess I'm not in camera anymore. But I really like it. It's essentially a full-fledged painting and animation tool with the really cool notion that it's, in VR, in 3D. Cool. All right. That's good enough, Rock. And maybe I will do the other eggs. What time is it? It's 9:27. Yeah, so if you it depends what you want to do. If you want to have it viewable on Quill Theater, which is just kind of Quill or Facebook's way of sharing these VR scenes, it needs to fit on the Oculus Quest headset standalone. Right now I'm connected to my more powerful PC with a link cable, because Quill doesn't actually work, like painting Quill doesn't work just on the standalone. You need to have it. It's a desktop application. And yeah, I have some other scenes that are like I'm really pushing the limit, and in fact, like, here actually, well, I don't want to get out of Betty Boop, but I have one from by Ave and Earl. If you look, I think hopefully Twitch or whatever still saves previous videos. But like Ave and Earl was the Sleeping Beauty background artist, and I'm really like on the line of what is acceptable, or rather what can fit in Quest. And it's like so close to done, but I'm just trying to get like the remaining like assets and ambiance in there without pushing myself over the edge. But you know, if I can't fit it on Quest, such as it is. Okay. And this is what the camera would look like, because I still have to, you know, when I want to render out in 2D. But otherwise, people will look, if they have VR, I guess they'll be like somewhere there. Oh. That's nauseating. Actually, I don't like that. Let's make you jump camera to save camera to the spot in the area. Okay. And that should be close enough. Cool. Now I could jump back to this view whenever. Oh yeah. Yeah, they even are. Oh, it's so close. Like, it's really just coming down to the backgrounds and having enough. The problem with Ave and Earl is that, sorry, not the problem with Ave and Earl. The problem with it translating his work, which in some ways I thought was really successful in translating to VR, was that everything of his is in this medieval style of like super sharp focus. There's like, it's very kind of graphic style. Every leaf is perfectly in focus. If you watch Sleeping Beauty again, you'll notice that, you know, the characters and the backgrounds, there's no like depth of field, and a lot of, in fact, I got a lot of flack by the animators and other design artists at the time because they were trying to, they were still had this notion of wanting to do more realistic things and emulate reality more. And in their eyes, his style of, you know, the stylistic backgrounds is a step back from that. They were wrong in my opinion, and in his opinion, if, you know, any screenshot from Sleeping Beauty just looks like, you know, art. It's like, it looks like each of can be a standalone painting. Yeah, the medieval tapestries and such. So I thought it would be good to translate that to VR because I was following or looking at tutorials he made for his own artists, and they he showed the way he laid down like the trees and stuff. Like, you just build it up bit by bit, which is the same with any painting, but he essentially kind of like says take these shapes and more or less like stamp them, like, you know, like repeat them, and everything is super focused. I'm like, oh wow, you know, Quill is, you know, I don't have any depth of field effects. If I wanted that, I need to either simulate it somehow or use another application. So I thought it'd be really good for that, and I, you know, put in all this detail, and I kept it simple, and I did the clone stamp. But now that my like main scene is done, it's like I guess I could just give up and have it like floating in the background. But any fade to, like, I guess he sort of does it, but like anything fading into the background that's like pretty. I'm basically at the point where all I can do is either I have to delete some stuff from my scene, or just have it be a kind of a straight gradient background, and that's just really not true to how it looks. You can kind of see very far into the scenes, and so I'm experimenting with like, okay, painting it and it's over memory, but then kind of bake that to an image that like a 360 image I can wrap around. And doing a little bit of like trying to dial in, like, okay, I can have a little less detail here and there, and that frees up enough geometry so that I can like have some, really just not hero trees, but like some background trees to sort of bridge the gap, so to speak, between the high detailed main scene and the like midfield sort of background, and then the final 360 image. Yeah, I really need to just do it or do something, because it's like I've been sitting on it for months. Sorry, I can't. Yeah, every time you see me looking up, that means I'm reading, because I have a little screen above me. Well, in VR, I have a screen above me. Yeah, Avondale, amazing, Sleeping Beauty. Yes, just absolutely wonderful artist. I normally do like an annual trip to the Walt Disney Family Museum, with the exception of this year for obvious reasons. And one of those years, they had a special exhibit of Avondale, and his work is just so fantastic. Yeah, I wonder who else. Like, my kind of kick has been replicating scenes from animation in VR, but also from Broadway, and I'm like, I guess this counts as an animation one, but it's Fleischer Studios is very influential for sure. But yeah, I'm wondering what artist is next. Though something to be said about the Fleischer animation, like the 1930s, 1940s animation style, I think really lends well to some aspects of VR, because it's kind of loose and fluid. It's all done on ones, but there's like visual interest in it repeating and such. So I think certain aspects of that of animation are, I don't want to say easy, because nothing's easy, but lend itself well to animating a VR, because instead of me drawing like his curve going back and forth or something, I am just whoops. I can, instead of animating a curve bending back and forth, I could just kind of grab it. So for this vulture character, he has a few overlapping sort of motions. So namely, his like hands follow a beat, or wings, I guess. So I have these wings target, and all I did was draw a crappy little wireframe and then moved him by hand, much like you saw with the eggs before. And then he has this kind of rocking of his body that's kind of bending. It's a little hard to see, but he's bouncing up and down, but he's also bending side to side, or at least I exaggerate it more. And so I could, in one pass, go over and, like one, I could do the up and down motion and record that. And then in a second pass, I could go side to side. So these sorts of like compound animation. I can certainly do it all in one go, but it's a little hard. I'm not a master puppeteer. Maybe I found it easier to kind of break it down into the separate motions and then time it. Because what you're hearing right now is the music is like me just listen to it and then by hand puppeteered to the music as much as possible. I don't think anything. I mean, this is just a wireframe, but other things will be a little more frame by frame, for sure. But I think the general strokes can be done very quickly with this puppeteering sort of approach, and that's what's really cool about VR. That's what's really powerful. And yeah, so like, almost like kind of like motion capture or something. I can puppeteer the rough animation and then be able to go in and do it, frame by excruciating frame. So in the case of this character, so I have this wireframe, and there are two types of kind of animation keys in here. One is transformation key, which is just the model moving, and then there are, I guess you'd call them shape keys. They're keyframes where the mesh themselves deform. So for like something like the head moving, I would, when I'm doing the actual final animation, things like the horn beak stretching and squashing, the eyes moving, if I decide to not make them rigid, those sorts of things would be done. Like I can puppeteer the rough animation to do it to time or to sound, and keep it loose, keep it fun. But then I could go in and nudge it bit by bit, and then finally what I would do is I would have all those animations kind of in place, which is actually what I did for this wireframe. I animated, like I puppeteered like the distortion of the beak, the horn beak first, and then I puppeteered just by moving around the head itself, so that I, once again, these kind of compound animations. And as for the body, like I guess I just have to largely do it frame by frame, but it's easy. With this character, I might like paint his wireframe so that's visually distinct when I'm animating it. But then I would go in, and not with this guy, but with like something else, like frame by excruciating frame. Kind of like, move him into place. Boop, boop. Anywho. Yeah. So the magical program is Quill VR. This says Quill Theater, which just means that's just the, like, where you can see other people's work. I don't know if you can see the HUD when I bring it up. No, you can't. But yeah, Quill by Oculus, now Facebook. Wonderful tool. Really great community. So anyone who's listening in on this, and new and have VR headset, highly recommend trying it out and joining like the Discord and the Facebook groups. Just a lot of not only incredibly talented people, but very talented, helpful people. They've been doing these weekly sort of like master classes, like an hour each Saturday. I don't know which one's tomorrow. I should look. I rarely make them live, but they put the videos on YouTube. And this tool is becoming rapidly quite powerful and a really an amazing balance. I feel of. I really think it kind of takes advantage of what VR where VR can really shine, which is tapping into, our sense of space, like transformation in like 3D, meaning that instead of you wrestling with an interface and learning kind of like shortcuts and all sorts of things, like obviously there's some interface I need to learn here, but most of my animation, most of my interaction, most of my painting is not me trying to find some drop down menu or tweak some setting. It's me painting it, just in a virtual environment. It's me moving, it's me puppeteering. You could do things frame by frame, you could do things looser. It's I almost exclusively use VR for Quill and other such things. And then you can export these to other applications. A lot of people are doing some really interesting renders of, getting it in Blender or Maya or whatnot. And taking it from there. There's concept artists for anyway, it can be quite complicated. I think the basics are like, if you want to ignore animation entirely, like obviously animation just ends up being more and more complicated, but like you want to just get painting, you only really need to concern with like a couple things, which is tools and brush shapes, your paint color. And you could just start, painting things. And obviously this is not very pretty, but shading, grab tool. There's a lot of complexity in it. I think to get running with it and to start creating things, I do feel the learning curve is a lot less than other applications, especially particularly 3D applications. Things in 3D are just inherently so hard and time consuming, and there's so many settings and parameters, plugins, and I feel that the constraints they did here, such as everything's only vertex color and no real lights, like everything you have to paint, that constraint I think is a good one to foster the kind of creativity and the kind of tool they want to be, which is something like traditional painting and animation just so happens to be in a complex environment. Blender, I've used it on and off, so to speak, for like well over a decade, I think. And it's come a long way, especially with regards to user interface. Oh gosh. And I think it's perhaps like the best example of kind of like a consumer application, the open source consumer application. Like, sure, there's a lot more maybe like influential examples of open source, namely like Linux or anything in the web, essentially, all the web services that power the world. But as far as just a kind of a contained, high quality open source project, Blender is the best. But yeah, really hard to get. Like, it's really hard to do what feels like should be simple. And nothing is for free, meaning like when, at least with hand-drawn animation, it's certainly a hard. Well, no, sorry, Blender. Never mind. I'm kind of confusing things. Suffice to say, it's easier. It's far quicker, and I think a lot easier to get your ideas across in 3D in VR in something like Quill. versus Blender, and that's coming from someone who hasn't used Quill in the grand scheme of things all that much compared to say Blender or Maya or whatnot. And I'm just really excited where these tools continue to go. And yeah, I guess what I was saying with like Blender, nothing's really for free. You have to work for everything. And I guess what I mean by that is like one of the appealabilities of say stop motion versus 3D like animation. You can see the hand on stop motion, and there's a lot of texture and things you can get by like working with your hands. You introduce, I think we just kind of recognize like the human hand in art forms, and when we can see that, or at least passively feel that, we connect with pieces more, and it just looks more interesting. So even like, a rough background like they made here, is kind of more interesting than a rough 3D, an even rougher 3D background. Like, this certainly took more effort and is maybe less professional looking, but like it's not sterile. And in Quill, because you're hand drawn, because you're puppeteering, I feel with all the work you do feel the human hand in a way that is kind of lost in much of 3D. Ramble over. I guess back to animating. So these eggs need to come down, and they have to cover a fair amount of ground. There's one, two, three, four, five. Dun, 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 dun. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba, da, ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, bam, bam, ba, bam. Bum, ba, da, 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 da. Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum. Alright, I guess that's that. Okay. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Dun 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 da 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 dun da da dun dun da da dun. I think I need to do that frame by frame. Ba 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 da ba da da ba dum ba dum bow. I shouldn't obsess with the timing because they didn't often not synced with the audio. Meow down bow. I'm going to change the depth of that, but we need this dang music. Oh, yeah, awesome. Thanks that one guy from YouTube. Yeah, I really appreciate you sticking around. And HM Freeze from Twitch. Glad you appreciated the ramble. Maybe in a future stream I'll actually have some notes of things to talk about. But probably not, because it's not for that, I guess. Maybe I'll do a blog post. Yeah, thank you both. And DJ Court, mapping the motions to music. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, this is like you're not really you're like usable tidbits of information, like you're not getting a whole lot from here. I highly recommend, if you want something a little more information packed, the VR animation Facebook group. If you're a Facebooker, or if you're, I guess they want you to. Since Quill's down by Facebook, they're incentivized to have things to go through Facebook groups and the like. But the virtual animation. If you just search virtual animation Quill on YouTube, you should be able to find their channel, and they have these hour-long masterclasses from each Saturday, as well as other stuff. Goro Fujita is kind of the was big lead designer and essentially like community leader. He does sketches every day. His work is amazing, and he has a lot of great tutorial material as well. Much shorter than an hour usually. So 6 minutes, get a sense of something. And then just looking at all the people's great work. And if you have a VR headset, Quill Theater, don't need to be connected to the desktop. You can get Quill Theater standalone on the Oculus. A lot of beautiful work. You know what? Will this show up? Yeah, it will. Just a quick detour. Well, this is like Gorfjita, a hollow. This is less painterly and more like graphical. It's an example of a bunch of his work. Looks kind of like the HUD display from Iron Man. This artist has done some wonderful kind of tributes to anime, such as Spirited Away and another anime I kind of forget. But just released this, like, it looks like it's hand painted, so it looks, at least from a little ways back, it looks very photorealistic. And only once you get a little closer do you kind of see the breakdown a bit. But just wonderfully, I can't even, I'm nowhere near approaching this yet. I need to stock up on, lighting and shading, traditional art techniques to be able to kind of achieve what people do. Well, this is a little close. Yeah, you can see those brush strokes kind of break down here. But again, from back here, really believable light. So, yeah, Leah Pear, the Coppola. Beautiful work. And yeah, all sorts of great works of varying styles and the like. Again, this a more cartoony style, but still really great grasp of lighting and believability of the scene. The famous Goro. Okay, I think I'm getting distracted. I heard my partner knock on the door. It's 10 o'clock. That might be it for tonight. But yes, anyone who has a VR headset, just, getting Quill Theater is free. Play it on desktop or I call it mobile, but the Quest standalone. And yeah, just browse people's fantastic, wonderful art. Well, that's scary. All right. I can't give one more. Yeah, okay. So this is a technique where they used a 360 image background. Which it's kind of obvious in this. This seems to be more of an abstract piece. But, interesting texture going on. All right. Yeah. No, I could browse this forever, but I better get going. But here's Hulk at the gym. Anyone who's still watching, thanks very much for joining. And I don't know how to return. There we go. Thank you for joining me watching, do some layout as well as some animation work for Betty Boop Reanimated project. if you follow my Instagram and are interested in animating a scene yourself, there are some remaining scenes. So it doesn't have to be VR, of course. In fact, I think I'm the only VR animator on the project so far. It's a fun project. The Old Man in the Mountain, Betty Boop short, being reanimated, despite the Popeye reference here. Yeah, this has been in Quill VR, the Oculus Quest. And yeah, this is Tyler signing off. Thanks everyone for coming out. And I'll try to do more of these. And maybe be a little bit better at planning what I want to do each sessions so that I use my time optimally. And then also, like, if I learn to chat and animate or draw at the same time, which is a skill I do not have yet. So I appreciate the opportunity to acquire that skill. All right. That's me signing off. Thanks, everybody. And good night.